Stuck between FWD, RWD, AWD, and 4x4? Here's the no-nonsense breakdown you need before you hit the lot. First up, FWD or front-wheel drive. Power goes to the front wheels. Most everyday cars use this setup. Why? It's affordable, fuel-efficient, and great for city driving or wet roads. But if you want sporty handling, it's not the king. Next, RWD, rear-wheel drive. Here, the power's in the back. Think classic sports cars and trucks. RWD offers better balance and sharp handling, especially if you love cornering. Downside, not so great in snow or slippery conditions. Now, AWD, all-wheel drive. All wheels get power, but the system decides how much goes where. Perfect for changing weather road trips or if you just want that extra confidence behind the wheel. It's versatile, but can cost more to buy and maintain. And then there's 4x4 or four-wheel drive, mostly found in trucks and true off-roaders. This system can be locked in for serious traction on rough terrain, think rocky trails, mud or snowbanks. But it's overkill for city life and usually guzzles more gas. So, what's best? If you want easy, efficient, everyday driving, FWD is your friend. Love performance and fun? RWD might be your match. Need all-weather confidence? AWD's your pick. And if adventure calls, 4x4's got your back. Remember, there's no best, just what's best for you. Next time you're car shopping, you'll know exactly what those badges mean. No more guessing. Hit subscribe for more quick car smarts. When you think of cars, what's the first thing you picture? Maybe it's the roar of an engine, or the feeling when you drop a gear and punch it. But under all that excitement, there's a crucial bit of engineering that shaped every drive you've ever taken: the drivetrain. Today, I'm breaking down how drivetrains have evolved, from those early quirky machines to today's silent electric beasts. Let's rewind to the late 1800s. The first cars? They were simple. Really simple. Think belt drives, chain drives, even direct drives, like on a bicycle. These systems were basic and, to be honest, kind of sketchy by today's standards, but they got the job done, transferring power from tiny engines to the wheels so people could finally ditch the horse. By the early 1900s, gear-driven systems started to take over. Enter the manual transmission. Suddenly, you had more control. Pick your gear, match your speed. Cars like the Ford Model T used planetary gear sets, which let you shift without being a pro bodybuilder. The driving experience instantly became smoother, and more people got hooked. Fast forward to the 1940s and 50s, and we see the rise of the automatic transmission. No more clutch pedals, just a simple D for drive. Suddenly, anyone could cruise down the highway, and cars became less intimidating. Around this time, drivetrains themselves forked into different layouts: rear-wheel drive for performance, front-wheel drive for efficiency. Each had its own fan club, and the debates still rage on today. The 1980s brought computers into the mix. Electronic control units started managing shift points, optimizing efficiency. All-wheel drive systems became more common, especially in rally-inspired cars and SUVs. Now you could tackle snow, mud, or twisty roads with confidence. But the real revolution? Electric drivetrains. Electric motors don't need multi-speed gearboxes. Instant torque, no shifting, just pure linear acceleration. Tesla, Nissan, and now nearly every automaker have embraced this simplicity. Today's EVs often have a single-speed reduction gear, and power can be sent to any wheel instantly and precisely. So from clunky chains to lightning-fast electrons, the drivetrain has come a long way. But whether you're a die-hard manual fan, an off-road adventurer, or obsessed with EVs, it's all about harnessing power and putting it to the pavement. Next time you jump behind the wheel, think about the hidden marvels connecting your foot to the road. Because that, right there, is the heart of every great drive. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Don't forget to hit that like button if you love car history as much as I do. Catch you on the next drive. Alright, let's talk about something that changed the way we drive. Front-wheel drive. Yeah, I know, rear-wheel drive gets all the love from car enthusiasts. Burnouts, oversteer, drifting, it's the stuff of legends. But front-wheel drive? It's the quiet revolution that transformed cars for everyone. So, where did it start? Back in the early 1900s, front-wheel drive was this weird experiment, like the Cord L29 in the 1920s. But it didn't really catch on until the 1950s and 60s, thanks to cars like the revolutionary Mini. Picture this: engine up front, power going straight to the front wheels. Suddenly you could make a car smaller on the outside, but bigger on the inside. That little detail, it totally changed car design. Here's why front-wheel drive made such a splash packaging. When you put all the heavy stuff, engine, transmission, up front, It frees up space. No drive shaft tunnel eating up legroom, the cabin gets roomier and the rear seats, way more comfortable. Plus, with most of the weight over the front wheels, you get better traction, especially in slippery conditions. That's why your mom's old Civic or your buddy's hatchback could handle snow days without breaking a sweat. But it wasn't just about practicality. Front-wheel drive cars were cheaper to build. Fewer parts, less weight, easier assembly. Automakers like Honda, Volkswagen, and Toyota jumped on board in the 70s and 80s. Suddenly, affordable and fun to drive didn't have to be opposites. Remember the original Volkswagen Golf GTI? Light, nimble, punchy. Front-wheel drive helped make it an icon. Now I get it, front-wheel drive isn't perfect. Enthusiasts talk about torque steer, understeer, and missing that classic rear-wheel drive feel, but engineering keeps pushing forward. Limited slip differentials, advanced suspension setups, even electronic trickery have made modern FWD cars handle like a dream. And let's be real, most people don't want to drift through every intersection. They want a car that's safe, efficient, and easy to live with. That's why front-wheel drive took over the mainstream. It made cars more accessible, more practical, and, yeah, more fun for the daily drive. But here's the twist: front-wheel drive isn't just for commuters anymore. Hot hatches like the Honda Civic Type R or Hyundai i30N are proving that you can have excitement and precision right out of the box. The evolution of front-wheel drive isn't about choosing sides, it's about using the right tool for the job and pushing the limits wherever the wheels are driven. So next time you see a humble hatchback or a screaming FWD hot hatch, remember, you're looking at decades of innovation packed up front. That's the magic of front-wheel drive. Alright, car lovers, let's hit the gas and take a ride through the evolution of rear-wheel drive in sports cars. Rear-wheel drive, or RWD, is more than just a layout. It's the heart and soul of some of the greatest cars ever built. But how did it become such a legend? Let's roll back the clock. Back in the early 20th century, almost every car was rear-wheel drive. Why? Simplicity. The engine up front sending power straight to the back wheels. And this setup was a perfect match for the earliest sports cars. Think of the legendary Bugatti Type 35 or the Jaguar XK 120. These weren't just machines, they were statements. RWD gave them sharp handling, thrilling acceleration, and that feeling of being connected to the road. Fast forward to the muscle car era, 1960s America, rear-wheel drive goes full throttle, Ford Mustang, Chevy Camaro, Dodge Charger. These cars weren't just about looking cool cruising down Main Street. The RWD layout meant smoky burnouts, tail-happy cornering, and a raw, unfiltered driving experience that defined an entire generation. But by the 1980s and 90s, things started to shift. Front-wheel drive was taking over, especially for everyday cars. It was cheaper, lighter, and handled bad weather better. But for sports cars, RWD never really left the stage. Automakers like BMW and Mazda doubled down. The BMW 3 Series became a benchmark for sporty handling, while the Mazda MX-5 Miata proved you didn't need crazy horsepower to have fun. Rear-wheel drive kept thrills alive. Then came the 21st century and the explosion of all-wheel drive. Suddenly, even supercars like the Nissan GT-R or Audi R8 were sending power to all four wheels. But RWD still held its ground among purists. Why? It's about balance. The classic 50/50ths weight distribution, the ability to steer with the throttle, and the pure joy of controlling a car at its limits. And today, rear-wheel drive is still kicking, more refined than ever. From the Toyota GR86 to the mighty Porsche 911, RWD sports cars are a love letter to driving enthusiasts. Even as electric cars make their mark, we're seeing new RWD legends like the Tesla Model S Plaid and the BMW Y4. The layout evolves, but the thrill stays the same. So what does RWD really mean for car history? It's the DNA of driving passion. It shaped icons, fueled rivalries, and gave us those unforgettable moments behind the wheel. Whether you're chasing lap times or carving up your favorite back road, rear-wheel drive brings you closer to the machine and the road itself. I say long live RWD, because sometimes the best way forward is with a little power to the rear. Ever wondered what really sets all-wheel drive apart from front-wheel and rear-wheel drive? Today, I'm breaking it down. No car jargon, just real-world facts, pros, cons, and where each system shines. Let's kick things off with all-wheel drive, or AWD. AWD sends power to all four wheels, usually automatically adjusting where it's needed most. On wet or snowy roads, that extra traction is a game changer. It keeps you moving when two-wheel drive cars might spin out or get stuck. Lots of crossovers and SUVs use AWD for this reason. But it isn't just for winter. If you love spirited driving, AWD helps put power down with less drama, especially in high-performance cars. Now, it's not all perfect. AWD systems add weight and complexity, which means you'll probably pay more upfront and at the pump. Plus, unless you're in tricky conditions, you might not notice a huge difference in everyday driving. Alright, let's talk front-wheel drive, or FWD. Most modern cars use this setup. The engine sends power to the front wheels, making for a simple, efficient design. FWD is lighter and usually more fuel efficient than AWD or rear-wheel drive. And because most of the weight is over the drive wheels, FWD actually gives solid grip in rain and light snow. But if you push it hard, say on twisty roads, FWD has its limits. Too much power and you get torque steer where the steering wheel fights you, or understeer where the car wants to push wide in a turn. For daily driving though, FWD is more than enough, and it keeps costs down. Now, rear-wheel drive, RWD, is the classic enthusiast's choice. The engine powers the rear wheels, which means the front wheels just steer. You get better weight distribution and sharp, balanced handling. Think of most sports cars, muscle cars, and luxury sedans. There's a reason they stick with RWD. The downside? RWD can be tricky in snow or ice since there's less weight over the driven wheels. You'll need a delicate touch or some quality winter tires to stay in control. But if you crave driving excitement, RWD delivers. So which one's best? It depends on what you want. AWD for all-weather confidence, FWD for efficiency and ease, or RWD for pure driving fun. If you just need to get to work no matter the weather, AWD is king. If you want a budget-friendly daily, FWD is your friend. And if you live for the backroad blast, RWD is where the magic happens. No matter what you drive, understanding your drivetrain means you can get the most out of your car and have a lot more fun on the road. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone. If you've ever felt the rush of tackling a muddy trail, crawling over rocks, or just daydreamed about adventure, you're in the right place. Today, I'm diving into how 4x4 technology transformed off-road vehicles and completely rewrote the book on adventure travel. Let's roll the clock way back. In the early 1900s, cars were basically glorified wagons. Bumpy roads? Forget about it, unless you had nerves of steel or a really good chiropractor. But then, necessity kicked in. War, exploration, and industry demanded vehicles that could go anywhere. Enter the first true off-roaders. Think Willys Jeep Land Rover Series 1 and the original Toyota Land Cruiser. These weren't just vehicles, they were literal lifelines, conquering jungles, deserts, and everything in between. But here's the kicker. Early off-roaders were tough, but not always comfortable or easy to drive. That's where the magic of 4x4 technology started to shine. The basic idea? Power all four wheels instead of just two. This meant more grip on loose surfaces. Mud, snow, rocks, you name it. Suddenly places that were once off-limits became accessible. Adventurers, explorers, and even suburban families could all chase the horizon. Fast forward to the 80s and 90s, this is where things get wild. Off-road tech exploded. We got locking differentials, low-range gearboxes, and independent suspension. If you've ever seen a Land Rover Defender or a Toyota 4Runner from this era climbing a crazy incline, you know what I'm talking about. And let's not forget icons like the Ford Bronco or the Jeep Cherokee. Suddenly, adventure was as much about comfort as it was capability. Modern 4x4s? There's something else. We're talking computers that can read the terrain, adaptive suspension, and even crawl control that handles the throttle and brakes for you. Vehicles like the new Ford Bronco, Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, and Mercedes G-Wagon can take you to places your grandparents only dreamed about, and you can do it with heated seats and Spotify blasting. But the real evolution isn't just about tech, it's about freedom. 4x4 vehicles help turn adventure into something anyone can chase. Whether you're heading deep into the backcountry, crossing a desert, or just escaping the city for the weekend, you're part of a legacy that started with a simple idea. Let's see what's out there. So next time you fire up a 4x4 and hit the trail, remember, you're driving more than a machine. You're steering a piece of history, built on decades of innovation, passion, and pure adventure. Stay curious, stay safe, and keep exploring. See you out there. Let's take a ride through time and see how car drivetrains changed the way we drive. I mean, the drivetrain, it's the backbone of your car. It decides how power from the engine gets to the wheels, and trust me, it's more than just gears and shafts. Back in the early days, most cars were rear-wheel drive. It was simple, tough, and perfectly matched to big, heavy cars with massive engines. But then in the 1970s, things started shifting. Literally. Front-wheel drive became the new standard. Why? It made cars lighter, cheaper, and opened up room for all sorts of new designs. Suddenly, it was possible to have compact cars with more space inside. Think of the original Volkswagen Golf or Honda Civic. But front-wheel drive wasn't just about squeezing into parking spots. It changed how we drove. People felt more confident, even in bad weather. More grip up front meant fewer scary slides on wet roads. And let's not forget, front-wheel drive made the family road trip a lot more comfortable. Of course, for those who craved performance, all-wheel drive came in swinging. Rally legends like the Audi Quattro showed that you could have jaw-dropping speed and still stick to the road like glue. Soon, all-wheel drive made its way from racetracks to sedans and SUVs, giving us confidence and control, rain or shine. Now, we're seeing the next big leap. Electric cars are changing everything. With motors on each axle or even each wheel, engineers can fine-tune how power is delivered in ways old-school drivetrains could only dream about. That means instant torque, crazy fast launches, and handling that feels like it's from the future. So, whether you're into burnouts, back roads, or just beating traffic, the drivetrain in your car shapes every drive. It's not just tech, it's the heartbeat of every journey. And trust me, the best is still to come.